Hey there, and welcome back to Not Your Dad's Business. I'm your host, CaiLea Martin. And if you're tuning in today, there's a really good chance that your hands are dirty, you're exhausted, and you're staring down a to-do list that looks completely impossible. Because, let's be honest, when you're running a small town business by yourself or with even just one other person, you don't get to focus on your trade. You're the bookkeeper, the customer service department, the marketer, and the physical laborer, all at the exact same time. You don't have a board of directors or a team of managers making the tough decisions. It's entirely on you. I know that grind intimately because I've built small town businesses from the ground up. But along the way, I realized my true passion wasn't the businesses themselves, it was the actual art of building them. I love market research. I love analyzing human behavior, and I realize that nobody out there is looking out for the true micro businesses. The industry is full of corporate advice. But every week on this show, I bring you raw, real-world strategies centered around the 3 pillars you need to thrive: online presence, local community, and automation. Now, remember, I have 0 formal degrees, but what I do have is real-world proof that simple tactical systems can scale a small town operation. My advice is strictly for the people who physically operate their businesses in small communities. And today, we are diving into our local presence pillar to talk about an inside secret that completely changed how I looked at business validation. And that's the reality behind local awards and nomination. Before I became a business owner, I looked at all the plaques on the walls and the annual best of guides in our area, and I honestly thought a secret committee of experts handpicked top local talent. I thought it was completely organic, but once you get behind the scenes, you realize the inside secret. A massive portion of those awards, nominations, and competitions are completely self-fueled. Businesses self-nominate. They apply for themselves, and they put their own name in the hat. There are tons of regional, state, and industry awards out there that you can apply for right now, and I'm telling you this because you should look around and see what's available. But, and this is a massive but, you have to be careful. If you start claiming you won all these awards, but you don't actually have the real-world skills, the happy customers, or the quality work to back it up, your community is going to smell it instantly. People will know you are a phony. Think about Mike Lindell with My Pillow. He literally made up his own fictitious organization just so that he could name himself the best at it. Please do not do that. There's a fine line between aggressively backing yourself because you know you do great work and completely fabricating authority. Put yourself out there, apply for legitimate recognitions, but make sure your reputation on the ground can carry the weight of that title. Our local newspaper does a community award called the Best Of every single year. And it wasn't until I became a business owner and really kind of got inside that local ecosystem of business owners that when I started to look at the list of names, I noticed a major trend. A lot of them are people who are heavily involved in local networking groups, chamber events, and community activities. There are already names that you probably heard of if you were out and about and involved in the community. And let's call it what it is. For some categories, especially service-based businesses like plumbers, roofers, or realtors, it ends up being way more of a popularity contest than a scientific best of evaluation. But when you sit back and you study human behavior, you realize that's not actually a bad thing. For a service business, you want someone who could win a popularity contest. Why? Because it means that they're well connected. They are active in the community and they know how to talk to people. More importantly, those business owners aren't just showing up to networking events. They're leaving an impression that is good enough and memorable enough to make people actually take the time to log online and vote for them. It's a fascinating little ecosystem, and it proves that local recognition isn't just about the work that you do in a vacuum. It's also about how you make your community feel when you're doing it, which directly leads me to the advice that I want you to take to heart. Stop being so incredibly hard on yourself if your business hasn't won any awards yet. If you're sitting on the sidelines looking at those lists feeling discouraged, it's usually not a sign that your work isn't good enough. It's simply a sign that you need to put yourself out there more. It's a reminder to make more genuine connections, shake more hands, and yes, start nominating yourself instead of waiting around for the engraved invitation that just simply isn't coming. And I know some of you are listening to this right now thinking, CaiLea, this sounds all like high school drama, and I'm too good for it. I just want to put my head down, do my job, and let my work speak for itself. Look, and I get it. Being a business owner means sometimes you have to do things that you just don't absolutely love, and playing the local awards game might be one of those things for you. But in a tight-knit small town community, those recognitions carry serious stock. People look at those best of banners. They look at the plaques on the walls, and to the consumer who is trying to choose between 3 different local contractors, that award is a fast-track way to prove your validity. And I also just want to put in here too that I don't think that every single small town business necessarily needs to compete. For example, if you're in a small town and you're the only diner, go on and be the Luke of diner owners, from like Gilmore Girls. If you're in a small town and there are no other diners around for people to eat at, you don't have to necessarily compete with anyone. And as long as your food is good, and as long as there's a reason for people to come back, they aren't going to drive an extra half hour just to go eat at a place that has won an award in the past. So take this with a grain of salt. Make sure that it's something that even applies to your business. But if you are a business that has direct local competition, for example, realtors would be the best example of this, because you want to have a realtor who could win a popularity contest, because that means that that realtor is connected. And if you're buying a house and you need plumbing work, they're going to know a plumber. If you need electricity work, they're going to know an electrician. So in that sense, if you're a realtor, yes, you absolutely want to be involved with this. But that's where it's just take this with a grain of salt. It is something that absolutely does not apply to everyone. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I just don't think this applies to me, you're probably right. You're absolutely right. Just skip this and go on to the next episode. But if you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I could see how this works, then in that case, you're not going to want to ignore the local competitions or write them off as dumb just because you don't want to deal with the public spotlight. And you have to keep in mind too, that when you participate, you aren't being vain. You're providing a verifiable stamp of approval that gives your neighbors the confidence to buy from you. It builds trust, it cements your local footprint, and it guarantees that you aren't letting your competitors take the spotlight by default. So if you've listened before, you know that we don't do the massive, overwhelming corporate theories here. We do weekly bite-sized momentum. If you want to start building your local authority, here are 3 simple things that you can do to execute before the week is out. 1, you can audit your local landscape. Spend just 15 minutes today researching the major award timelines in your immediate area. Find out when your local newspaper, chamber, or regional magazines host their annual Best of nominations, and mark those exact dates in your calendar so you never miss a deadline again. And then step 2 would be to put your name in the hat. The very next time a local nomination window opens up, I want you to clear the mental block and nominate your own business. Don't wait for a customer to do it. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission to make you feel like you're enough. Take control of your own visibility. And then step 3 would be to make new local connections. Step away from the computer or the shop counter this week and go have an intentional conversation. Attend a morning networking meetup. Pop into a neighboring storefront on Main Street, or invite a non-competing local business owner out for a casual coffee. Start building the human connections that fuel those votes. Taking control of how you show up in your community might feel minor day to day, but over time it builds an unshakable local asset. If this conversation gave you new perspective on scaling your business, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe or follow button on whatever app you're listening to right now. Tuning in every week and leaving a quick rating is the absolute best way to support the show, and it genuinely allows me to keep dropping these episodes completely free of charge. Now, if you want a clear look at how your business is currently showing up online and where you might be losing out to local competitors, head over to notyourdadsbusiness.com. I offer a completely free local search mini audit where you can plug in your information and see exactly how you rank. And while you're grabbing your audit, make sure you jump on our weekly newsletter. Every single week, I take our podcast lessons and break it down into highly detailed step-by-step checklists so that you can execute these strategies smoothly without burning out. Stop standing in your own way. Put yourself out there. Take action today. And I'll see you right back here next week where we will build something even better together, because this is not your dad's business.